Hello and welcome again, I'm Toy. Today we're going to talk about Unbridled Zasalamel. So Unbridled Zasalamel is a deck that takes advantage of his speed reduction and the speed reduction that he has available to him through his support and through other people's support that's going to allow us to be able to reduce the speed of our own attacks, to gain damage off of using Zasalamel's ability, and then to be able to use that same speed reduction to block and to push the game turn further back so that we can secure kills with guaranteed damage. So let's jump into Tabletop Simulator and we'll check that deck out. Okay, we've got Ultra open here, and we've got our deck spread out for you. I will just go through this and try to explain this as best as I possibly can. Okay, so the whole point behind this deck is we're using Zasalamel, and we're taking more advantage of the -5 speed on our own turn, on top of this attack getting plus X damage. X equals the difference between its speed and its printed speed. So, as a disclaimer, this deck is not 100%, it's not perfect. This is a design and it is an engine. It is something for you to take and to modify to your own needs and to your own playstyles and to your own playgroups. This is the way that I have built it and that I enjoy playing it. You might have a different way of doing it. So, unlike a typical Zasalamel build that you might be used to seeing, where you are focusing on reversals, which is at R, after your opponent's block attack resolves, play a reversal from your discard pile. As a reversal, remove it after it resolves or leave card pool. Instead of playing around that response, we're going to be focusing on the top E and that middle E. We're going to be trying to take advantage of that top E, not only on our opponent's turn, where we can reduce the speed of their attacks to block them and get the reversal off. We are still doing that. We also can play it on our own attacks and then give them +5 damage and not just have them chump blocked every time. Or at least when they get chump blocked, we don't care. So as the title of the video suggests, we are focusing on the card Unbridled Arrogance. So Unbridled Arrogance, once per turn, your Fury or weapon attack gets -4 speed +4 damage. So on Zasalamel, that's just +8 damage if you can take advantage of it, which we can. So we're taking Unbridled Arrogance, which uses Furies and weapons, and we're coming over to our attack lineup, and we are using Final Anguish, which as an Earth Enhance can give itself throw, becoming a weapon throw. We are using Spinning Pile Driver, which is a Fury throw. We're using Titan Bomb, which is a Fury throw. And we are going to use Stairwell Escape Shot, which is going to be able to pick up any of those 3 cards and then give itself Fury, Throw, or whichever, right? So Stairwell Escape Shot's primary targets are going to be Titan Bomb and Spinning Pile Driver to pick up that throw damage. We are running 3 copies of the Voice from the Abyss. This was originally started at 2 and it's been bumped up to 3 in testing. It is a phenomenal card in this deck. You can use this with Zasalamel's abilities to give it lots of damage, or you can just put damage on it regularly. But really the big shining thing here is being able to play this as a reversal, shut down our opponent's turn, and increase our game clock. This deck, because it's a throw, because it's high damage, we're just putting our opponents on a clock, and the primary way that we're going to win is by pushing the game back a turn or two, getting it to the point where we can guarantee a kill. Especially with higher vitality characters, we need to push that game further back so that we can guarantee our kills. Voice from the Abyss helps us do that. We're playing lots of throws, so we can get that ceiling of a non-character card in all staging areas. We can shut down staging areas. And then on our opponent's turn, as long as we play as a reversal, we can shut off our opponent's character. So this is huge. And again, we're using this to shut off our opponent's turn so that we can get another turn ourselves and throw another gigantic throw at our opponents. Because really what this deck's doing is it's trying to throw one gigantic throw at the opponent every turn and then disrupt their turn with reversals. That's what we're trying to do. So I talked about Stairwell Escape Shot. This card is actually fully off-symbol. The entire deck is Earth. This card is Fire. The majority of the deck is Earth-Fire, you'll notice, right? A lot of the deck is Earth-Fire. Most of the foundations are Earth-Fire. So it's quite easy to block and still throw the Stairwell Escape Shot. This is our one exception to the reversal. We can play a reversal, give it Throw and Fury, and then we can put the huge amounts of damage on Stairwell Escape Shot as well. Alternatively, we're just using Voice from the Abyss to shut our opponent off. So we use Voice to push the game back further. If we think we can steal a win, we're going to throw the Stairwell. Okay. We are running 2 copies of Vicious Madness. This is just a value attack. It's got such incredible numbers on it. We can't give it the unbridled damage, but we can still give it all the other damage that we have available in our decks. And it's an Earth Fire card. It synergizes with everything else. It's Desperation. It does all the things that we want it to do. We're also running 2 copies of Dragon's Tongue. We are playing a 5-hander, and we can't exactly build aggressively, so having 2 copies of Dragon's Tongue gives us the option to reset the board if we need to. Additionally, its speed can't be modified, so we can use Unbridled Arrogance on it just for a free +4 damage if we choose not to use that first enhance. However, that first enhance is really going to be what lets us leverage this card in our deck. +1 mid block, breaker 2, great card. It's not a card we normally want a reversal off of because we don't want that breaker 2 being eaten by them just blocking a reversal. So again, we don't really worry about this one not chaining into our stairwell escape shot, but we do have options with it. You'll notice at the top of the attack lineup, I've got one copy of the Dark Tournament Looms, and there's a good reason for it. So the Dark Tournament Looms is just going to be in here kind of as a pseudo 20th attack. We are running 3 copies of Final Anguish, which has a 2 check on it, which is a little bit risky. We're running 6 3 difficulty foundations. I would love to run more, and I might run more as this deck continues to evolve. But the Dark Tournament Looms allows us to kind of get more triggers of Final Anguish in there without having to give us a bad check. This gives us a good check. It cantrips itself and then lets us grab a card from a momentum. Because we're running so many throws, there's a high chance we'll get a card in there, and that we'll be able to pull it back out with Dark Tournament Looms. We don't really want to run more than 1 copy of Dark Tournament because we never want to see Dark Tournament instead of an attack. We just kind of want to see it on top of an attack. Just be mindful of those kind of things. When you're running a card for the sake of being another attack, just make sure you're not overloading on it, thinking that it's going to be, your 5th to 8th copy of another attack in your deck. It doesn't quite work that way because you never want to draw into this card instead of your attacks and then not be able to play them on an offensive turn or a turn where you're trying to kill your opponent. Moving on from your attacks, we're getting down to our foundations. I've got them separated into 3 difficulty, 1 difficulty is in the middle, and my 2 difficulties are on the right. For 3 difficulties, we're running 3 copies of Dark Side of Karma, and we're running 3 copies of A Cataclysm is Born. I absolutely love A Cataclysm is Born. I know it might not be everybody's flavor, but I love this card. It's taking something that we're already going to be doing and having to do, which is committing cards to pass checks, and it's giving us a benefit for it. So really, it's just adding to natural value of the cards that we're playing. And if you noticed by the attack lineup that I presented, I have 6 difficulty, 6 difficulty, 7 difficulty, lots of high difficulty cards. Pile Driver being our only 4, right? Everything's high difficulty. We will be committing cards to pass checks. So we're just planning for that and then adding value to the fact that we have to commit those cards. This is just going to be free value for us. Again, because we're running throws, we're able to gain momentum fairly consistently, and this is our momentum dump. We can discard momentum, ready it, and then commit it for future cards. Obviously, it synergizes really well with Titan Bomb. Enhance if this attack deals damage. Ready X Foundations that have not been ready this combat phase. X equals damage dealt. So we can commit everything we want into Titan Bomb and then ready it all with Titan Bomb. Titan Bomb is a fantastic addition to this deck. I've been mulling around with this deck for a little while, and it wasn't until Titan Bomb came out and A Cataclysm is Born that I really got the legs to make this deck actually work as something. Dark Side of Karma, if you don't know what it does, it's playable while committed. So again, we can commit it into our high difficulty stuff and then still be able to use its effects, remove to negate enhances on non-character non-weapons, and then flip to return attacks to its printed speed. That's a great ability, especially on things like a Voice from the Abyss. If we reversal with it, we give it tons of speed reduction, jack its damage, then we can flip it over, bring it back to 6, and still push through a 6 mid for tons of damage on the reversal, shutting down their staging area after the fact. It's a great card. Lots of fun plays there. That's our 3 difficulty stuff. Going into our 1 difficulty stuff, we've got Pursuing a Vendetta. We're running it at 3 copies. This is just destruction prevention, or not really prevention, but protection in a way, and helps us mitigate that cost. Toguro Bros is still a big thing, so we're running 3 copies of Pursuing Vendetta. We are also running 2 copies of Protecting a Protector. Again, throws, fairly consistent momentum stream. We can feed into this card. It's just more protection, keeping our stuff safe. We're running 4 copies of Solemn Exorcism. Once we get to the 2 difficulty stuff, you'll see just how much speed reduction we have access to. So being able to draw more cards to block with is a great thing, and that's what this card's in here for. Additionally, we can block with it if we're lucky on the weapon, get Breaker too. Right? Fits in really, really well with this deck. We're not running very many non-blocks. I believe the only ones we're running are Unbridled Arrogance at 4 copies, 1 copy of Castaway, and our 4 copies of Spinning Pile Driver. Otherwise, we got blocks and everything. So being able to draw a card off Solemn Exorcism, high chance of seeing a block, high chance of being able to block something. We're running 2 copies of Goro's Victory Pose, flip to negate actions. Well, not negate, but prevent them from being played. This card got put into main board specifically because we're only trying to play 1 giant throw a turn. We can push out a little bit further if we need to, and we're trying to get more damage out. But this card guarantees protection on our gigantic throws. So we're not going to get them mitigated by action cards, or we're not going to get things shut down that we don't want shut down. So for those throws that are really important, that we need to shut down the game or to do whatever, we've got Victory Pose to protect that. Going over to our 2 difficulty, we have Castaway and Forgotten, unique. We can flip, again, discard momentum after an attack's played to seal it. That's the primary function for this card. If we're lucky and they play a 3 damage, we can do that. Bakery Poster Girl, this card's really cute. Destroy reduces attack speed to 0, only playable if your opponent has played 3 or more enhances the combat phase, and playable while committed. So playable while committed, fantastic. We have high difficulty stuff. We can use this to pass stuff being aggressive, still gain advantage of it on the opponent's turn. Then we can snap this thing to reduce their attacks to 0 speed and block them. Or we can use it on our own turn if our opponent has played 3 or more enhances that combat phase, and we can reduce the speed of our own attacks to 0 before starting to put our own speed reduction on it. So if you notice for some cards like the Voice from the Abyss, that's going to knock it down 6, which means 6 damage off Zasalamel. Something like Titan Bomb, that's just 4 damage off Zasalamel, right? Obviously, on Spinning Pile Driver's not doing us any favors, but again, Final Anguish, 6 damage. So you have to think about that when you're looking at a card like Bakery Poster Girl. We can snap this thing 6 more damage on Final Anguish, then put 5 more on it with Zasalamel, and then put more on it with more speed reduction, right? So that's the bottom line of this deck, is we're trying to take advantage of speed reduction on our turn just as much as our opponent's turn. So we're giving double value to our speed reduction cards. All right. Unbridled Arrogance, I already talked about this. -4 speed, +4 damage. It's +8 damage on our throws. It's crazy. Going into energy absorption, this helps us set up our discard pile for Zasalamel reversal digs. And if we have more vitality on our opponent, we can get +2 or -2 damage. Again, we can get +2 on our turn, -2 on our opponent's turn, and then 4+ after we take unblocked damage, gain of vitality. This is what, again, we're trying to push that clock back. Damage reduction and life gain in one card is going to help us hopefully push that clock back while also running double duty, setting up our discard pile. 4 copies of the Guardian Spirit Sword. Again, -2 speed, we can do it on our attacks, our opponent's attacks, and then -3 if it's a weapon. Going back, Final Anguish, it's a weapon. We can give it -3 speed, right? Which then turns into +3 damage off Zasalamel. So we're just trying to grind that speed into the floor so that we can put as much damage as possible. On top of that, we can flip, discard a card, grab an asset, which is, we have 2 copies of Omega Sword and Elk Shield. After we block an attack with this card, reduce it to 1, right? Again, because we're running a 5-hand sizer, blocking is important to us. Playing this thing into the staging area, we can then block with it from staging area, or we can tutor it, block with it from there. We're not really taking advantage of the twice per turn flip to make our opponent flip. We can do it, but we have a lot of value in our staging area, and we're trying to keep that stuff safe. We can also grab the I'm not going to pretend like I can pronounce this card, but we can also grab Azeroth's Axe. It's a 1+ mid Earth Fire, so we can just grab it, block with this, then do the Stairwell Reversal. So we have a way on stage of fetching the Stairwell Reversal, block, we can do it that way. On top of that, because again, we're running throws, after attack deals damage, we can flip one of our opponent's assets or foundations. It gives us more stage control. Great card. Going down, second Saintly Beast. Again, if you watch my speed reduction evaluation video, you know that this card has a lot of value to it, and we're taking advantage of it in more ways than it normally gives us. Milling Top 3 lets us set up discard pile. Breaker 1, we're blocking with it. It has Earth and Fire. We can even set up Stairwell Reversals with it. We can give our own cards -2 speed for +2 damage, or we can give our cards +2 speed if we need to put them up beyond their block threshold. On top of that, it gives us a Deadlock threat. It does so much good stuff for us. Have to be running this card. And then Servant of Ares, last thing, but again, great card. Earth, Fire, block, gives us flexibility. Throw attacks, +4 damage on committal. We can then uncommit them with Titan Bombs if we want, for follow-up throws. We can flip, lose 2 to flip stuff in our opponent's staging area, giving us more ways to control their board. That, when combined with Spinning Pile Driver, first enhance to flip things in our opponent's staging area, it gives us lots of control to take out their throw hate before pushing in this damage. So, in case I missed anything, you're looking at Final Anguish. It can get powerful based on face downs, but we don't need that. It's Desperation, so as we get hurt, we can push it out easy. +0 high block, great. Throw weapon, that's the big one. Spinning Pile Driver, Fury Throw that we can use to control staging area. We don't even care if this thing loses speed on it because it's already at 0. They're already able to block it. We're putting more damage on it than we need. Titan Bomb, we're going to be committing for it, so we might as well gain advantage of that somewhere. Then we put, again, tons of damage on it, ready everything that we commit during that enhanced step. Moving back, Voice from the Abyss, this is buying us turns. It's getting us later on in that game clock so that we can secure wins. 1 copy of Stairwell is to secure victory if we see it on the opponent's turn. Alternatively, we can use this just as a block, give it Breaker, and then pull out a Dragon's Tongue to give it another instance of Breaker 2, thus becoming a Breaker 3. And then Vicious Madness is just helping as a great follow-up, great numbers on it, and we can push out damage that way. I didn't mention the Know the Power from the Abyss. This card also works in a similar fashion as Bakery Poster Girl. We can use it on our own attacks for damage leverage, and then lets us tutor a reversal. Again, either the Stairwell or the Voice. And it helps set up our discard pile to find more cards. Or we can use it on our opponent's turn. We can lock their attack down, get us more ability to block, right? So on, so on, so on. The last thing I didn't talk about, because I totally forgot it's a one-of, Snake Becomes a Dragon. We are running quite a bit of cards that can turn things face down in our opponent's staging area, and if our opponent's not running ways to clear those face downs, the Snake Becomes a Dragon becomes a pretty lethal force. Commit to give -2 speed for each of our opponent's face downs. Again, it says this attack. You'll notice that everything says this attack. Bakery Poster Girl, this attack, right? Energy Absorption, right? This attack gains this. This attack gains -2 speed. This attack gains -2 speed. So we can use all these things, our attacks, our opponent's attacks, whatever. So lots of really cool things in this deck. The part that I love the most about it is that I can run a lot of speed reduction in this deck on top of Zasalamel's already natural speed reduction, and I can take advantage of it in any way I want. Great. It just felt great to play it. I'll talk really quickly about the sideboard. You'll notice that refusing to let go is in the sideboard. I already have a lot of 3 diffs in the deck, and I wish I could fit in more, but it just increases the risk. So refusing to let go is in the sideboard for now. I might change the way I feel about it, and when you play, you might feel like you want it in main board. That's fine. That's up to you. I've got 3 copies of Dark Jirito in the sideboard for obvious reasons. Anytime that our opponent has cards like Princess Parry or other ways to bounce cards like Fade, we've got Dark Jirito to help protect us. Again, we do have pretty consistent momentum generation, so multiple 2 isn't outrageous for us to push off. 3 copies of Overly Dramatic. Again, damage reduction or speed increase, we can negate that stuff. And then this also helps us push a deadlock threat. So if you're playing against an opponent that is dancing around deadlock a lot, we can pull these in for an additional deadlock threat if we need it. And then lastly, we got Shokan Prince. It can't be destroyed, so against destruction matchups, it's great to pull in. And while this card's ready, if our hand size is less than our opponent's, all non-foundations are going to get +1. So in situations where we're being disabled or we can't quite push in as aggressively as we want, we can't play the one big throw every time, we can bring in the 3 Shokan Princes over top of the Cataclysm is Born, and then we can start trying to use those to be a little bit more of a bully. It gives us more staying power as we start building up our own resources. So this is the Zasalamel Unbridled deck. It is a riot to play, and if they're not running very competent throw protection, you can dunk people. It's a great feeling, and they'll feel dirty when they die because it's throw damage. It's pretty degenerate. So don't take this as a be-all, end-all. Just take the ideas and the concepts that I'm putting in here and see what you can do with them. Maybe you can put them in a different character and come up with something else with them. That would be great. If not, hopefully this teaches you something. And with that, I'm going to end this video. My name is Toy. Hopefully you learned something from this. As always, if you like this video, do the like and subscribe thing. I'm posting quite regularly now, so check out all the content, and I will see you guys later.